Yes, now let us study how to do the assembly of a plumber block. Before that, we have to create the parts of a plumber block. Now this sheet shows you the different parts of a plumber block. Out of which, let us start creation of the first part of a plumber block, that is called as body. It is called as body. Now let us start creating this body. Now let us go for solid edge V90. Now let me go for solid part. Now here, to do this, we have to go for a command called protrusion. Now let us select the front plane as a sketching plane. Now while creating the sketch, now here you can see, if you observe the sketch properly, it is a sectional front view, that is right half of a section has been created. Now out of which it is a mirror component on right and left with respect towards center. Now we shall eliminate this cutout, this cutout and this hole and this cutout, and let us create only the hatched portion without considering the cutouts. Then we can do this cutouts later. Now the hatched portions only is supposed to be drawn at the first. Now the total dimension of the plumber block is given as 168 mm, out of which from here to here it will be only 84 mm. Then draw an inclined line. The distance between this position and this inclined line, horizontally it measures as 14 mm and vertically it measures as 14 mm. Then draw a line here, and while drawing this line, do not consider this R6. Simply draw a sharp corner over here. The distance of this line from this center is given in the top view as R43. It is actually a curved portion, but it looks like a straight portion in the section. Now you have to draw this line at a distance of, from the center to this line is supposed to be 43, and there is a horizontal line who is at a distance of 55 mm from the bottom base. Now after that, the distance from the center line to this line is 44 by 2. Then the length of that line is given as 12 mm. After that, we have to create this line. The length of this line can be calculated using 44 minus 38 divided by 2, which comes around 3 mm. After that, 3 mm vertical line is there. After that, we have to create this arc. The radius of this arc is nothing but 38 by 2, because 38 is going to represent a diameter here. Then the radius will become 19 mm. Now using this, we have to create this sketch. Now let me show you how to create a sketch. Now make use of a command called line. Using a line command, let me draw a line of 84 mm at an angle 0 degree, and simply draw an inclined line at any positions, and draw a line to some distance, then draw a vertical line, then a horizontal line, once again a vertical line, horizontal line and a vertical line. Here this line is supposed to be a vertical line, it is not vertical, so let us make use of a command called horizontal or vertical, and let me show this line as vertical line. After that, make use of a command called arc by center point. Select this plane itself as the center, and this end point of a vertical line is called as the radius. Simply draw an arc till it touches this point. Now we have a command called tangent. Make this arc tangent to this line. After that, using a line command, connect the end point of the arc to the end point of a line to make this sketch as a closed profile. Now make use of a smart dimension command. Give the dimension of this line. Anyhow we already given as 84. Now we need not to change any values here. Next, the distance between this point and this point is, the distance between this point and this point is how much? 4 mm. To obtain that, we have to go for distance between command. In that, we have to go for horizontal or vertical. Now the horizontal distance, it is measured as 4 mm. The vertical distance is supposed to be given as 14 mm. After that, the distance from this line to this plane, we have already shown that the distance is 43 mm. That is nothing but this R43 is supposed to be the distance from here to here. Now Now after giving that 43 mm, once again the distance between command, the total height of the plumber block is given as 55 mm. Then the distance between this line and this line is given as 12 mm. In the same fashion, the distance between this point and this point is given as 3 mm. Out of which, and then this radius is given as 19 mm. So let me change the radius as 19 mm, and the remaining one is this distance, that is called as 3 mm. When I have given radius 19 and this 3 mm, this will be obviously 22 mm only. So we need not to give this dimension as 22 mm. Now we have given all the necessary dimension excluding all the type of holes and cutouts in our sketches. We have created only the base sketch of a plumber block. We have created the base sketch of a plumber block. Then let me say return. Now giving this thickness, please observe the top view. With respect to the center, if you measure, the 36 mm is equally divided on either side. The 36 mm is equally divided on either side. Now giving this thickness as 36 mm, go for symmetric extent as 36 mm. Now why we have to go for symmetric extent as 36 mm? The advantage of giving symmetric is that to create all these cutouts and holes, it will be very helpful, because all these cutouts and holes are exactly positioned at the center of this 36 mm line. That's why we have to go for symmetric extent of 36 mm over here. Now after this, let me go for a command called cutout. Now let us start doing the cutouts. Now if you observe here, this component is going to show it as a rectangle, but if you observe the sketch, it is a circular component. Now to do this position, let us come back to this solid part. Let me go for cutout command. Let me select this top plane. Now I know that I have to draw a radius of 43 mm arc till it touches this point. Now this is a open loop. Let this be as open loop itself, then say return. In the open loop, it will ask the direction. In which direction I should need to remove the material. In this direction I need to remove the material. To what distance? Up to the distance of 41 mm. Now you can see we have drawn the sketch only for one side, but on the other side also we are getting a cutout. This is what the advantage of open sketch. So let us make use of this open sketch, and then after giving this 41 mm, let me say finish. Why it is 41 mm? Because the total distance, that the total height of the plumber block is given as 55 mm, out of which 14 mm is the bottom thickness. So it will be remaining dimension as 41 mm. After that we have to do this round. Now this round radius is given as R6. Now let me come back to this one. Then let us go for a command called round. Next, in the round we have to go for edge or corner. Then select which edge. This edge is supposed to be rounded. The radius of that one is 6 mm. Then preview it. Then say finish. After this we have to do the cutout of this one. Now the depth cutout is given as 2 mm. That 2 mm is going to be this rectangle. Now the rectangle thickness from the center to here is 8 mm. That means here to here is 8 mm, and this line to this line is also 8 mm. But the thickness of this much can be obtained using the square 20. Now after this you can see one more cutout is for a depth of 7 mm. That dimension is called as square 20. That means the shape of this cutout is square. Now that square is going to be represented here. Now if we observe clearly, the distance between these two lines is 20 mm. The distance between these two lines is 20 mm. And these two rectangle lines is overlapping on this 20 mm. Thus we can conclude that this distance between these two lines is 20 mm only. Now let us go for solid edge part. Then we can go for cutout command. Where that has to be done? It has to be done on the face of a protrusion 1. It has to be done on the face of a protrusion 1. Make use of a rectangle command. simply draw a rectangle like this. After drawing this rectangle, we have a command called symmetric relationship. Now let us go for symmetric relationship. First you have to select the axis of the symmetric. After selecting the axis, you have to select which are the elements to be symmetrical. Now these two elements to be symmetrical to this axis. Here first selection should be the axis, the second and third selection should be the elements. Now make use of smart dimension command or distance between command. The distance between this line to this line is 8 mm, and similarly the distance between from this line to this edge is 8 mm. In the same fashion, I have already calculated this distance as 20 mm. So as per the given sketch, I have written the sketches. Now the depth of cut is supposed to be given as 2 mm only. Now this completes this 2 mm depth of cut of a rectangle. After which we have to do one more cutout of square of 20 mm, which is starting from this cutout, which is starting from the 2 mm rectangle cutout. We have to create this 20 mm square cutout for a depth of 7 mm. Now how to do that? Now let me go for solid edge. Now make use of a same cutout command. Now while selecting the face, we should not select the bottom one. We have to select the 2 mm cutout, whatever we have done already, the rectangular cutout. We have to select that face as a sketching plane. Now make use of a rectangle. Construct a rectangle by giving the values of width and height as 20 mm and the angle of rectangle as 0 mm, which is going to construct a square like this. That square should be positioned on this line anywhere. Now you have to get a point on element symbol. With respect to that symbol, you can place that anywhere on this line. After that, make use of a distance between command or smart dimension command. Then give the dimension of both the lines. Now after that, where it has to be positioned, if you observe carefully, this is the center of this square 20. Now if you further proceed for the top view, now from this center to the left center, it is given as 62 mm. That is nothing but from this midline, that is the center line, to this center, it will be 31 mm. Now let me go for this one. Make use of a distance between command. The midpoint to this datum plane is 31 mm. The midpoint to this datum plane is 31 mm. If you are going to select this line and this plane, then the distance is supposed to be given as 21 mm. In the same fashion, for this to this, it has to be given as 41 mm. So all the three answers are correct here. Now let us go for a return. Now we have to do this cutout for a depth of 7 mm. So let me create a 7 mm depth. Now this completes the cutout of square of 20 mm for a depth of 7 mm. After that, one more cutout is there. If you observe clearly the top view, it is mentioned as 2 hole of diameter 10.5. 2 hole means here there is 1 hole and here there is 1 hole. That is called as 2 holes of diameter 10.5. Now we have to create this hole. Now we have to make use of a command called hole. Now you have to select the 20 mm cutout face. Now you have to select the 20 mm cutout face. Then here we have to go for hole options. Now in the hole options, we know that it is a simple hole, but the diameter of the hole is 10.5 mm and it is a through hole. So let us select the through next. That means until where there is a solid, it is going to create the hole for that depth. Now where it has to be positioned, it has to be positioned at the center of this line, but the distance from here to here is given as 31 mm. How it is 31 mm? Now if you observe here, the square center and the circle center is same, due to which I have to give the dimension as 31 mm only. Then let us say return. Next, just define the direction of cutout, then say finish. The hole is going to happen up to the thickness after this 20 mm face of 20 mm square cutout for a depth of 7 mm. Now then we have to do the cutout over here also. What is that cutout? That cutout is this one, which is in the shape of this, that is rectangle, but the one side is going to make it as complete round. Let us do that one now. Now let us go for solid edge. Let me go for cutout command. Now here, while selecting this cutout, whatever the cutout we have made of a rectangle for a 2 mm depth, we have to select that face for a cutting plane. Now let us make use of a rectangle command. Simply draw a rectangle like this. After that, once again use a symmetric relationship. First you are supposed to select the axis, then the elements to be symmetrical. Then make use of a command called circle by center point. With respect to the midpoint of a shortest distance, select the radius, and the radius for the center, and the radius value is the larger line endpoint like this. Similarly, repeat the circle here also in this fashion. Now make use of a command called a trim. The internal portion is not required, so let me trim this out. Now if you observe here, the end point of this arc and line are connected here and here, whereas here the end points of arc and line is not connected. Here also it is not connected. Now we have to make use of a command called connect. Now the connect command is here. Now next make use of the end point of a line should be connected to the end point of a arc. Here also the end point of a line should be connected to the end point of a arc. Now we have to get a symbols like this. After getting these symbols, it is also tangential. So let us make use of tangent relationship. The arc is tangent to this line and this arc is tangent to this line at these 2 points. Similarly, this arc is also tangent to these 2 lines. Now, the distance of this line is given as 8 mm. Now let me give that dimension as 8 mm. So now this distance is supposed to be 8 mm and this radius is given as 5 mm. That is given as 5 mm. Now you can see R5. Now the midpoint to this midpoint, it is measuring 128 mm, which turns around 64 mm. Now let us go for distance between command. With respect to this midpoint and this datum plane, this dimension is supposed to be 64 mm, that is 128 by 2. Then say return. The depth of cutout is through next. So let me give the through next so that it is going to do the cutout. So this is going to complete almost all parts of the right half of the plumber block body. Then to obtain the left half, we have a command called mirror copy. So let us make use of a command called mirror copy. Here, along with mirror copy feature, we have 2 options. Mirror copy feature means only a feature will be mirrored. Mirror copy means we can mirror the whole body itself. Let us go for mirror copy. Which is to be mirrored? The body is to be mirrored. So let me select the body with respect to what? With respect to the right plane. Now you can see we are going to get this body. Now we have completed both the sides of a body. Then we have to create the hole here. This hole is nothing but a concave hole. Now to create a concave hole, let me go for a hole command. Now if you observe here, it is starting from this surface. As I explained you in one of the videos, here you cannot select the surface itself for the coincident plane. So we have to select a plane slightly upper to eliminate these portions. Hence, we have to calculate that value. Now let me go for a command called a parallel plane. Now select the bottom. Now how much it is parallel? From here to here it is showing as 21 mm. Now let me add another 2 mm. So from the bottom let me create it for 23 mm. Now if I am going to see the front view, now you can see the hole is going to create at a height of 23 mm instead of height of 21 mm. Why? Because if I selected 21 mm, I could not able to create a hole due to the surface which is above here in the shape of a concave. Hence we have to do like this. Now if you have come out of the sketching view, to get back to the sketch view, here we have a command called sketch view. Just click on the sketch view, we will go back to the sketch. Now we have to create a hole. Now it is a simple hole. The diameter of a hole is given as 6 mm for a depth of 6 mm along with V bottom. Now we have taken 2 mm additionally, so we have to add this 2 plus 6 mm, so it will become 8 mm. Now the diameter is given as 6 mm. Then select the fourth option. Here it is called as finite extent. Then the hole depth is to be given as 2 plus 6. 6 is the depth of hole and 2 mm is the parallel distance along with the V bottom, and V bottom you can maintain the standard angle as 118 degree excluding the length of the 6 mm. Then say OK. It should be positioned exactly at the midpoint over here. Then return it, then define the direction, then say finish. So this is going to complete this portion. To observe this properly, we have a command called visible edges. Now you can see here we can able to see the V bottom also. So this completes the first part of a plumber block, that is called as body. Now it has to be saved properly. How to save this? Go to a command called save. In the summary you have to type it as body, and it has to be saved in a particular folder. So let me make a new folder as plumber block. Then let me say OK, and here once again you have to mention it as body, and this completes the construction of body.